Good morning, children.
Good morning, ma'am.
We completed the different properties of living things last class. Hope you're remembering. Yes or no? Any doubts? Doubts are there? Malavika? No.
No, ma'am, no doubts.
So if you have any doubts, if you cannot ask in the class, you can leave a message. So as and when I'm free, I will reply. Okay? And we have completed it, and we are going to move to the next topic, that is diversity in the living world. So you'll be learning more about biodiversity and the classification of organisms into different categories. All that we'll be learning in detail. So before we proceed, I just want to check whether you have understood last day's portion. What are the different...
Ma'am?
Yes?
Good morning, ma'am. New student, Zahan.
Zahan. Oh, you entered previous period, no?
No, ma'am.
No,
Like previous video. Okay, yeah. Yes,
I will add your name. I will add your name.
okay.
Ma'am,
Yes.
you
Yes.
can call my name.
So who will summarize? Who will start? Sarah? Which are the different properties of living beings that we discussed?
Growth, reproduction, cellular organization, metabolism, then
Consciousness. So these are the 5 properties of living things that we discussed. But only 2. Later we reduced the list to 2. Which were the 2 properties. All the other properties we ruled out, and we learned that only a few can be considered as a defining property of living beings. So which are those properties, Samia? Metabolism. Three were there. Metabolism, cellular organization, and the last one, consciousness. And what is meant by metabolism? Elaine, what is meant by metabolism?
It is the sum total of anabolism and catabolism. It's the total of biochemical reaction taking place in the environment.
Body of a living organism or in a living system. And why do we say that growth cannot be considered as a defining property of living things? Alan, why growth is not considered as a defining property of living things? Alan, you know the answer?
Thus, non-living object will also grow by surface material accumulation.
By the accumulation of particles, even non-living things can grow. Hence, we cannot consider growth as a defining property of living things. And what about reproduction? Why did we ruled out, or why we ruled out reproduction as a defining property of living things? Tom Sinton?
Certain living organism cannot reproduce, like mule, worker bees. Therefore, we consider it as a non-defining property.
Okay. So let's continue with diversity in the living world. Children, in spite of saying repeatedly, if you haven't turned your videos on, sorry to say I cannot mark attendance. I'll put a circle around the attendance marked. Diversity in the living world. Let's begin with biodiversity. What is meant by biodiversity? Nimita, what is biodiversity? Biodiversity. Let it be a guess. Try.
different species.
Who said that earlier? Different species of plants and animals. The variety of plants and animals found on the Earth's surface. The number and types of organisms present on the Earth is referred to as biodiversity. The number and types of organisms present on the Earth is known as biodiversity. The variety of plant and animal species present on the earth's surface can be termed as biodiversity. The number and the types of organisms present on the earth is known as biodiversity. Repeating again, the number and the types, the varieties, the different types, the number and types of organisms present on the earth is known as biodiversity. Number of species described is 1.7 to 1.8 million. There are millions of species yet to be discovered. But so far, the species discovered sums around 1.7 to 1.8 million. The number of species described is 1.7 to 1.8 million. Now, let's learn about a branch of biology known as taxonomy. Taxonomy is a branch of biology which deals with the characterization, identification, nomenclature and classification of living organisms. Each step you will be learning in detail, but the definition is the branch of biology that deals with the characterization, identification, nomenclature and classification of living organisms. We'll repeat again: characterization, identification, nomenclature and classification. CINC. Need not be in order. Characterization, identification. Actually, these steps are carried out in same order, in the same sequence. Characterization, identification, nomenclature and classification of organisms are the different steps involved in taxonomy, which is a branch of biology. The branch of biology which deals with characterization, identification, nomenclature and classification of living organisms, that is known as taxonomy. You will be learning about the different processes involved in taxonomy later. So once again, it's a branch of biology which deals with the characterization, identification, nomenclature and classification of living organisms. Now, yet another branch, systematics. It's derived from a Latin word systema. Systema means systematic arrangement. And this branch deals with identification, classification, nomenclature and evolutionary relationships among organisms, which was not dealt with in taxonomy. So it is more or less similar to taxonomy, but includes the evolutionary relationships existing among organisms. So once again, systematics is the study of identification, classification, nomenclature, and evolutionary relationships too. Whereas in taxonomy, it's a branch of biology which deals with the characterization, identification, nomenclature, and classification of living organisms. But in systematics, we also include the evolutionary relationships which are existing among different organisms. So systematics, it's a word derived from the Latin term systema, which means systematic arrangement, and it is a study of identification, classification, nomenclature, and evolutionary relationships existing among organisms. And here you can see the picture of Carolus Linnaeus. Are you familiar with the person? Have you heard about him before? Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus or Carl Linnaeus, class 9. Nimita is saying something? Let it be wrong. See children, you make mistakes. You haven't learned. You are just guessing. So make mistakes, no problem. Alentina, where have you heard about him?
Ma'am, learning when we are learning about the divisions of organisms.
Pardon?
When we are learning about the classification of organisms.
Classification, he suggested some a particular process for naming the organisms. Do you remember that naming system?
Nomenclature.
Binomial nomenclature. Class 9, you have learned in the chapter Diversity in the Living World. So he has written a book, and the name of his book is Systema Naturae. Systema Naturae is the title of his publication. You can see the picture of the book also here. Linnaeus, Carolus Linnaeus. He has written a book, and the book's name is Systema Naturae. Now we are going to learn about the basic processes involved in taxonomy. Hope you have no doubts regarding taxonomy, systematics, and the name of the book written by Carolus Linnaeus. Any doubt? You want to see any slide once again?
Ma'am, could you please show the last slide?
The name of the book?
Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am.
Nimida? Only that?
Ma'am, the previous one.
Systema Naturae is the title of the book written by him. Okay? Yes. Now we are moving on to the different steps, different processes involved in taxonomy. Let's see one by one what are the different processes or different steps involved in taxonomy. To begin with, characterization. Already in the definition we learned, first step is characterization. Process number 2, identification, classification, and nomenclature. These are the 4 basic processes involved in taxonomy. Once again, characterization, identification, classification, and also nomenclature, CICN. You can remember the first letter of these terms to memorize. You can use your own tips or tricks to memorize all these. Characterization, identification, classification, and nomenclature. Children, when you're asked to explain, you should explain this in order, because first characterization takes place, which is followed by identification, further followed by classification, and finally we name the organism based on the information collected. So it has to be learned in order. We'll begin with the first one, characterization. Characterization involves understanding the characteristics of organisms. As the name suggests, characterization, understanding the different characters of organisms. For example, the external structure, internal structure, and the structure of the cell, that is also included under internal structure, the development process, the ecological information, all these come under characterization. So scientists, they gather information regarding the different characters of organisms like external and internal structure, details of the cell structure, development process, and ecological information. First step or the first process in taxonomy is characterization, and in this step, scientists, they understand the different characteristics of living organisms that include external and internal structure, structure of the cell, development process, ecological information, etc. Clear? So that is the first step, first process involved in taxonomy. So once characterization is completed, they proceed to identification. So in characterization, the different characters of the living organisms are understood, they are studied. like internal and external structure, the structure of the cell, the development process, and also the ecological information. Clear? Now moving on. Second one, identification. Identifying the organism. It's a correct description of the organism. So we means the scientists have already learned the different characteristics. They have understood the characteristics. Now they will correctly describe the different features, so that based on the description, they can name the organism. So first, the different characteristics are studied, that is characterization. And once characterization is completed, the scientist correctly describe it so that they can be named based on the description. And this step is known as identification. So under identification, the organism is correctly described based on the characters they have already studied. And then the naming is done. It is the correct description of the organism to make the naming of the organism possible. So once identification is completed, the next is classification. Characterization is a step where the scientists understand the different characteristics like internal and external structure, cell structure, development process, ecological information, etc. Having understood the different characters, then they correctly describe it so that the organism can be named. Now the next step is classification. So under classification, the organisms will be grouped into convenient categories. Categories, the other name is taxa, singular taxon, T-A-X-O-N, taxon, taxa plural, taxon singular, taxa plural. So they will be classified, will be grouped under different categories based on easily observable characters. Based on the easily identifiable or observable characters, will be put under different categories or groups. About these taxa or categories you will be learning. Okay? In lower classes, I think class 9, you have learned about these different categories: species, genus, family, order, class, phylum, kingdom. Each category we will be learning in detail. This chapter itself, we will learn it. The process by which organisms are grouped into convenient categories or taxa based on easily observable characters is known as classification. The process by which organisms are grouped into convenient or suitable categories or taxa, and this is done based on easily observable characteristics. Classification helps in revealing the relationship between different organisms and makes their study easy and organized. So we already learned classification means grouping or categorizing these organisms into different taxa. And classification, another advantage is that this will help us to reveal, understand the relationship between different organisms. Similar organism or organisms with similar characteristics can come under the same category. So this will help us to understand the relationship between different organisms. This will make the study of these organisms much more easy and organized. So the previous slide I will show you once again. We learned that classification is the process by which organisms are grouped into convenient categories based on easily observable characters. And the same point, and under the same heading, one more point, the advantage of classification, it will help in revealing the relationship between different organisms so that their study can be made easy and organized. Next is nomenclature. Am I clear to you, children? Any doubts in the topics covered? Any process you want me to repeat? I'm waiting for your answer. It can be yes or no. No problem. Okay. So nomenclature. It is a standardization of names of organisms such that an organism is known by the same name all over the world. Standardized names are used, or it is not just simply naming following certain rules. These organisms are labeled so that anywhere in the world, you know that a particular living organism is known by different names in different part of the world. Not only different part of the world, if you take our own state, in different districts they are known by different names. Some local names are there. Even a vegetable, vegetable will be known by different names in different parts. There will be a commonly used name, but still it can be known by different local names also. And in different states, not to say different languages are being used, it will be definitely different. And also in different parts of the world, they are known by different names. So it is very important that to avoid confusion, there should be standardized names so that the same name is followed all over the world. For example, mango, Mangifera indica. Anywhere in the world, Mangifera indica is mango. That is a scientific name followed all over the world. So that is the intention behind nomenclature or naming the organism. So here the names of organisms are standardized so that the organism is known by the same name all over the world. This will avoid confusion. The scientific name remains the same even though the local names can be different in different parts of the state or world. This will remain the same. For example, here you can see mango, Mangifera indica and Apis indica, honeybee, a particular species of honeybee, Apis indica and Mangifera indica. These are known by these same names all over the world. Mangifera indica is mango all over the world. Apis indica is a honeybee all over the world. So that will avoid confusion in identifying the organisms. So nomenclature is a standardization of names of organisms such that an organism is known by the same name all over the world. Hope you have no doubts. So we'll just quickly recap all the points that we discussed under taxonomy. Taxonomy includes several steps like characterization, identification, classification, and nomenclature. Under characterization, the characters of organisms are understood by the scientist, and they are studied like external and internal structure, structure of cell, development process and ecological information, and it is followed by identification where the organism is correctly described to make the naming possible. Then classification also is involved. It is the third step. Classification is the third step included, and it is a process by which organisms are grouped into convenient categories based on easily observable characteristics. And classification also helps in revealing or understanding the relationship existing among different organisms so that their study can be made easier and organized. Then the last one was nomenclature. The last process of taxonomy that we discussed was nomenclature. It's a standardization of names of organisms such that an organism is known by the same name all over the world. Clear, children? Any doubt? Do you have any doubts? Malavika, Vipin, Anne Mary, Samia, Anila, Sanjana, Basma, Buddha, Irene.
Ma'am,
Yes, Nimida.
I don't understand what's the difference between systematic and system.
Systematics the evolutionary relationships of organisms are also considered. In taxonomy, we don't deal with the evolutionary relationships. Whereas in systematics, the evolutionary relationships, the course of evolution, there can be some similarities, like common ancestor, that idea and we have learned earlier. So all the evolutionary relationships will be dealt with in systematics, but that is not considered under taxonomy. Okay. So let me begin with taxonomy. One of you define. If I say one of you, nobody will define. Nehal, Agnes, Shreya, Ardra, Basma, Atulya, Irene. I will note down all these names. Okay, sorry to say. Aditya Dev, what is by taxonomy? Branch of biology.
Branch of biology that deals with classification, identification, nomenclature, and
Classification. Classification was the first one.
characterization, identification, nomenclature, and classification.
In order. Characterization.
Classification and nomenclature.
Characterization, identification, classification, and nomenclature of organism. Then what is meant by systematics, Lakshmi?
It is a study of identification, classification, nomenclature, and evolutionary relationships
Among organisms. What is meant by biodiversity, Shreya? What is biodiversity? What is meant by biodiversity?
The number of types of organisms
Existing on the earth surface, the number and types of living organisms existing on the earth surface is known as biodiversity. Okay, then we learned about the different processes involved in taxonomy. What are the different steps? Rose, first step.
Characterization.
What is meant by characterization? Ardra, what is meant by characterization?
Understanding the characters of organisms.
Like? What are the characters?
Structures
Ah,
of cell
ah.
development process, ecological information, etc.
Physical information, internal and external structure, structure of cell, etc. Okay. Then the second step, Shabari, second step.
Identification.
Explain it. Irene. Shabari, continue.
It is giving an organism a correct description to make its naming possible.
Yes. What is the next step, Nimida? Next step.
classification.
Explain.
They are grouped into the organisms are conveniently grouped into categories.
Categories of taxa. What is the advantage of classifying? Sanjana.
Helps in revealing relationship between various organisms.
Relationships among organisms, which will make their study
Easy.
easy and organized. And the last one, Tushar. Last step.
Yes, ma'am. It is the standardization. Nomenclature.
Nomenclature. It is a standardization of
Naming the organisms so that they are known over the same name all over the place.
Very good, very good. Okay, so we'll continue. Yes, somebody is calling me. Yes, Basma.
Last class I told my video is not working.
Okay. Get it rectified as early as possible, Basma. You are able to hear me clearly, no?
I'm able to hear, but I called you twice, but you didn't hear.
Can you leave me a message? Your voice is also breaking in between. So please leave me a message. Okay, now itself, Basma. Binomial. Bi means what?
Two.
Binomial nomenclature. Bi means two. So naming an organism with two components. The system of naming living organisms with two components is known as binomial nomenclature. Can anybody tell me which are those two components you have learned earlier? You've learned in class 9. We name an organism with its two names.
Genus and species.
Very good. Genus name and species name. So the system of naming living organisms with two components is known as binomial nomenclature, and this was proposed by Linnaeus. Carolus Linnaeus, the same person who has written the book Systema Naturae. And here you can see how the names have to be written. And Homo sapiens, that is a scientific name for human being or modern man. And the genus is written, the first letter of the genus is in capital letter, and species, all the letters are in small letters. And when it is typed, it has to be in italics, and when handwritten, it has to be underlined separately. So there are different rules as listed here. Let's see one by one. Rules to be followed while naming an organism. Scientific names are in Latin. These are Latin names, or these are Latinized and are written in italics, means typed in italics. When handwritten, they are underlined separately. When typed in italics and when handwritten, they are underlined separately. All these names are Latin names or Latinized names. The first word, that is the genus name. As you can see in the figure, the first name, Homo sapiens, or in Mangifera indica, the Mangifera, the first name is genus name or generic name. And the second one is a species name, or we even call it a specific epithet. Specific epithet or species name. Homo sapiens. Sapiens is a species name, and in Mangifera indica, indica is the species name. Genus name starts with capital letter and species name begins with small letter. Begins with small letter and all the letters are also in lowercase. Genus name begin with capital letter, whereas species name are written in small letters. And in genus only the first letter will be in capitals. And author's name, the one who described that particular organism, appears at the end of the biological name in the abbreviated form. For example, Homo sapiens lin, Mangifera indica lin, Linnaeus, abbreviated and it is written as lin, and that is not commonly used. Whenever you write the scientific name, you include only the first two, genus and species name, but this is a rule to be followed. The man who has, the person who has described it, his name should be written in abbreviated form after the species name. Once again, I will repeat all the points, the different rules to be followed. Scientific names are in Latin, and when they are typed, it should be in italics, and when handwritten, they have to be underlined separately. And as you know, this is a system of naming organisms with two components, and the first component is a genus name or generic name. Second one is species name or specific epithet, and genus name starts with capital letter and the species name is written in small letters. Author's name is written after the scientific name, means after the species name. After writing the biological or the scientific name, this is written towards the end. After the species name, it is written in abbreviated form. As you can see in the examples given, Linnaeus is abbreviated and written as Lin, but that is not commonly used. We just follow the first two names. But as per the rule, the name of the author should be written at the end in abbreviated form. Botanical names. What do you mean by botanical names? Names used for? These are for plants. Botanical names are meant for plants. Zoological names are meant for animals. So when you name a plant, there are certain rules given in International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. So that rules need to be followed. Botanical names are based on the rules given in International Code for Botanical Nomenclature, whereas zoological names are based on International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. Wherever abbreviations are given, you should know the expansions too. ICBN, ICZN. ICZN is International Code for Zoological Nomenclature. ICBN is the expansion. The expansion of that is International Code for Botanical Nomenclature. Botanical names follow ICBN. Zoological names follow ICZN. Okay, next class you will be learning about different taxonomic categories. Hope you have understood the rules to be followed while naming an organism. This you have already learned in class 9. So you can quickly summarize the different rules to be followed. Anishra, first point.
Ma'am, scientific names are in Latin or Latinized, and if it is handwritten, it should be written in italics, and if it is handwritten, it should be underlined.
Underlined? Underlined? Something you are missing?
Separately.
Separately. That is very important. If you underline it together, then it's wrong. You have to underline species and genus names separately. Then Eva, next point.
Ma'am, when they're typed, they have to be typed in italics.
She told that point.
The genus name, the first letter of the genus name has to be capital, and the species name, the first letter should be small.
Another point. Adila?
The first word is genus name and second word is species name.
The first one is genus name or generic name, second one is species name. Then next point, Mehrin.
Ma'am, author's name appears at the last of the biological name.
At the end of the, after the species name or at the end of the biological name, you have to mention the author's name in abbreviated form. Okay, the author in the sense, the one who has described it. Clear? So shall we wind up? Yes? No doubts? No? Again, one more period you have today. So we'll be discussing about the different taxonomic categories. So see you children next class. Thank you children. See you next class.